It's about to be spring break here on Waynesburg University's campus, so let's hit you with one more episode of Jacket Sports Weekly.
Jacket Sports Weekly, where you can find everything Waynesburg University sports. Tune in every week to our panel as they take a deep dive into Waynesburg sports. We cover everything from football.
Turning around is Isaac Trout. Did he get the feet down? We will wait for the mark. And they call it a touchdown.
To basketball.
Ball. Got it! We're all tied up!
To softball.
Max this one. Left field. Kiss it goodbye!
Stay up to date with all your favorite Waynesburg University sports with us at Jacket Sports Weekly.
Keeping it the same here on Jacket Sports Weekly with your two main hosts, Logan Episcopo, and he wanted to be called it last week, so I'll call him here today. My chum, Seth Adams. Sir,
Chum.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man.
You ready for spring break?
Yeah, bad. I need it bad.
We're all ready for spring break here on campus, but let's dive into the athletic side of things. Indoor track and field, they just had the Indoor PAC Championships, and we won't get too far into it. We've got our analysts coming up today, but Seth, just some general thoughts.
Yeah, just, they finished 7th. The men finished 7th as a team. The women finished 8th at the PAC Championship. So it was an okay day for most of them, but some set some records. Some had some really good days. We'll get more into that later, but I feel like it should be talked about in the records that they're setting, even if it's just personal records or school records, but we'll get more into that later.
Yeah, as you said, a lot of personal bests, a lot of school records. They have a last chance meet that will be coming up on March 2nd. That is this Saturday. It's at Ohio Northern University. And obviously, our analyst, Joey Chirillo, he'll have a little bit more to tell you about this PAC championship, as well as what to expect at the last chance meet. Now let's move on. We're not hitting the hardwoods quite yet, Seth. We're going to go over to the Diamond. We're going to the Diamond, talk about baseball and softball. We don't have a lot to talk about as baseball is currently playing LaRoche right now. They won the first game.
Yeah, won the first game. Walk-off win.
But we'll have Mia Henkins on to
Sorry, I spoiled it. It's my fault.
to really preview things. But just, first place for softball, voted in preseason polls. Baseball, 7th.
Yeah, I mean, the softball team deserves it. I mean, they won the PAC last year. I mean, they're just elite. They have been dominant. And I don't see why not they don't win it again this year. The baseball team, I'd say they're ranked properly right now. They have to prove themselves. They were 14-24 last year, 9-11 in the conference, which was middle of the road, like you said. But I mean, I feel like they could be better, but they just got to show it this year.
And they'll be able to show it because after LaRoche, they have another doubleheader, Pitt Bradford, but then they go to Florida, both the baseball team and softball team. They have their tournaments down there. Now, let's go back to the hardwoods. Sadly, the hoop season has come to a close. And I know I said last episode it'd come to a close no matter what, but it was a first-round exit for the men's basketball team, the 13th in program history. Seth, just some general sad thoughts from this game.
I made my bracket. I showed you lovely people out there, and I was very wrong. It's going to be a somber segment with Michael McKenzie, and I feel like it has to be, a game that they just did not play well at all. You could tell from the beginning, Grove City popped the 3 right to start the game, and you can just tell in the atmosphere it wasn't all there. And, I mean, we had guys who put up some great performances and some other guys who just did not show up at all. I mean, props to Grove City, man. They came into Waynesburg, battled against Geneva, too, in Geneva the next couple of days, so props to Grove City.
Absolutely, have to give props. We talked about leading up to the game how tough it is to beat a team 3 times in a single season, and unfortunately, the basketball team proved that is a fact. It is very tough to beat a team 3 times in one season, but they have a lot to look forward to for next season. Michael McKenzie will definitely share that with you all. And to round things out here in our opening segment, the women's lacrosse team has played 2 games, and at the time of recording, will be playing their 3rd of the season. It'll be over by the time you're seeing this. They dropped their home opener to Eastern Mennonite Royals, 13-7, and then they lost on the road against Mount Aloysius, 14-2. Today, they are currently playing at Hanover College. We'll see what the results are there, but that's going to do it for the opening segment here on Jacket Sports Weekly. When we come back, we'll sit down with Joey Chirillo, talk about that indoor men's and women's track and field team.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good.
What's your plan?
I'll probably just walk home.
You walk?
Yeah.
You didn't drive, right?
No.
Be safe.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get going now.
Alright, put some cool water on this.
All right. I need to go home. Hey, where are you going? I'm walking home. I'll see you boys at the next one, all right?
We're right back here on Jacket Sports Weekly, and we're moving over to the track, the sand pits, whatever you want to call, whatever event you're doing. We're here for indoor track and field. Over to Joey Chirillo, our analyst today. Sir, first of all, you ready for spring break? I know Seth and I are.
I am definitely ready for spring break. I can tell with your little flamingo thing. I think you're getting ready for Florida.
I had to get in the mood, you know.
Yeah.
I had to get in character today, be the inner Florida man. So let's talk about these indoor PAC championships. The women placed 8th. The men placed in 7th. Talk about some of the individual performances. You know, we had a lot of school records, personal records. Who stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to start off with Quentin Weaver at the 800-meter run. He set a time for Waynesburg at a program record of nearly 5 seconds as he placed 2nd in the 800-meter run with a time of 1:53.56. So congratulations to Weaver there. That surpassed the previous President's Athletic Conference record, and he will go on to play the last chance indoor meet at Ohio Northern this coming weekend. So we'll see him continuing to compete as we exit into this outdoor season going into the indoor season going into the outdoor season. I said that wrong. Vice versa. My bad. But we had some good bronze and silver wins as well. Kai Herbert had took home bronze in this championship. He tied his personal indoor record with a 1.85 meter jump. If we go over to Garrett Hillard, who placed 5th and is now 7th in program history with a 13.32 meter throw in the weight throw category. So congratulations to him as well. But as we move into this indoor, into the outdoor season, I'm looking at majority of these people as well who have competed in the throwing and the jumping contests to also do well in the running. Kai Herbert goes on the 4x1 for 4x100, excuse me, for the outdoor men's team. He's joined by Ty Williams, Zach Brott, and Isaiah Matthews as well. I'm looking for them to do well in that outdoor season, and then as well for the javelin throwers here on the team for the outdoor prospects. We have Meg Berry, Natalie, and Peyton as well on for the team, looking for them to do good in the outdoor season.
So you mentioned the last chance meet. It's the last chance, you know, it's in the name. So we got some intel from Meg that just Quentin Weaver is going to be participating in this last chance meet, and maybe some other from the women's team. Can you just give us a little bit of a rundown of what that really is, that last chance meet?
Yeah, so that last chance meet, they go out to Ohio Northern, like we discussed. They will be going out there on this 2nd of March, so hopefully we'll see them do good. But that basically is your chance to just continue on your season and just, you know, make a final exclamation point on the season, and hopefully you're doing well continuing on with that. But it's not for everyone within your team, within your squad per se. It's mainly if you do well in your championships within your division, then you're invited to this last chance, and then you compete with other people throughout your region per se. So it's a little confusing, but not that much if you just look at it and read a little bit more into it.
Yeah, Weaver is currently nationally ranked in that 800 meter that you alluded to, so he is going to try and really solidify himself, potentially, you know, earn that All-American title, get to the NCAA Nationals. But focusing more to the outdoor season as the indoor is coming to a close, you mentioned the 4x100 team on the men's side. You mentioned the pointy stick throwers we can mention. Shout out to our producer, Meg Berry, pointy stick thrower herself. But what should we look forward to with the outdoor season? The first meet is not till March 16th, obviously, but what are some early expectations we could see?
Well, quick shout out, when we talk pointing sticks, we're going to look at this graphic that was made by our good old Ethan Spazarski.
Great graphic.
Had to put a pointy stick in there for Meg. You know, we had to. But great graphic there, and we'll see some more as the season continues. But for this outdoor season, I'm looking more at, like we said, at the javelin players, and then more in the 4x1s and the other racing competitors that we will have in this outdoor season. But I think the biggest thing is that from talking to Meg and all the coaches and all that stuff, the indoor season is not in track and field players' favorites. Not players, but it's not the competitors' favorite place to be playing. They look to go into the outdoor season, and I think they're just going to continue to wrap that up, and then they're going to hopefully put a really nice bow on it and continue their season very well from the indoor to the outdoor. And they only have like 2 weeks to take that break, and I think that they like that as competitors. They like that as athletes to have that little bit of a break, and they just go right into the outdoor season, and it's one of their favorites.
So the indoor's coming to an end, Joey. So can you just give us a little bit of like an overall summary of your opinion on how maybe the season went for them? Maybe it could have been better, maybe it could have been worse. Just give me your overall thoughts and opinions.
Well, in the President's Athletic Conference, in that championship, we said it was 7th for the women's and 8th for the men. So it's not where they wanted to be. But again, it's one of those things that competitors more look at it as indoor is just a way to get better. It's like spring training for baseball. It's a way for you to get better, see your competition for the outdoor season, and then once we get to that outdoor season, that's when the competition is really starting. So the fact that we're up there, we're good in those ranks, we're right in the middle, I think shows a lot for this team, and I think that we'll go into it having all these different athletes in all the different categories playing really well in this outdoor season.
And I think that what you have to look at is that a lot of the athletes on this team, I feel, just from the consensus talking to some of them, is that they prefer the outdoor season. You know, there's not a big rush or a big need to do well in the indoor. As you mentioned, it's kind of just a practice run, if you will say, to get ready for outdoor. So with that being said, can we expect a big jump in what they did from 7th and 8th place in the indoor into the outdoor, maybe PAC championship? What should we expect from indoor to outdoor as a team overall?
I'm expecting them to jump really high. And that high jump that they'll be participating in, I'm expecting this team to do a high jump as a team itself. From that indoor perspective, like we've said, it's not their favorite. But when they get to that outdoor, when they smell that fresh breeze, the fresh cut grass, it just feels a lot better, and everybody's just more excited. So I think with just the mindset, your mental mindset as you go into these competitions, is just more fun, more energetic. And I think with Waynesburg and the community that they have here, I think it's just going to be a lot more fun for them, and that with that fun is going to become more wins.
Well, thank you so much, Joey, for joining us on our desk and discussing indoor and next season outdoor track and field team. But don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for Mia Henkins for a softball and baseball preview right here on Jacket Sports Weekly.
This is so spice. Cornucopia. Try instead of train.
I love this show.
Welcome back to Jacket Sports Weekly. For this segment, we have Mia Henkins on the desk with us to discuss a baseball/softball preview. But first, we're going to stick with the baseball preview. Now, Mia, I should ask this first. How was your day? Are you happy to be on the show today?
My day is great, and I'm very happy to be here because I haven't been here since wrestling season.
She went on a hiatus. She
I
had
did.
this
I
thing
had a-
called
I had a little
basketball
break.
that she had to
The
play.
hardwoods.
I don't know.
The hardwoods.
The hardwoods.
All right. But first question I got for you. They just played right now, the baseball team.
They did,
They
yes.
were playing while we were filming this. So just give us a breakdown on what happened.
Yeah. Waynesburg played La Roche today, and we're seeing very different vibes so far this year. Last year, the team lost to La Roche 8-5 and 11-10 in their doubleheader. This year so far, they actually won 6-5 on a walk-off, and they just won 4-3 on a walk-off. So 2 walk-offs today. So far, they have a 100% walk-off rate. Of 2 games.
That's pretty good.
Very true.
And La Roche has actually played 3 games this year, and they've lost all 3 to walk-offs. So A little bit of a rough
There's your
start for
nugget of the
LaRoche,
day.
but Waynesburg has had a great start so far.
Rip.
They played great today, so.
Well, speaking of vibe change, let's take a look behind us. We got the baseball graphic and softball. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can. They're really big. Those two rings right there.
Those are rings.
For the back-to-back championships that the softball team won. But let's stay on the baseball team since they just played, 2-0 to begin the year, obviously out of conference, but they were voted 7th in the preseason polls. Now, Seth mentioned on the opening he thinks that's properly rated. They've got to try and find their way back up. Mia, what do you think? Do you think this is properly rated for how they did last year, or should the PAC be expecting a little bit more this season?
I think this is a proper rating for Waynesburg. I mean, they finished last year 14-24 for an overall record, and I believe 9-11 for a conference record. So, I mean, not a great record. They obviously could have done better. I think 7th is a pretty good overall rating for them. They finished last in batting averages last year in the pack as well. So, I mean, obviously we're looking for batting averages to go up a little bit. They also finished 9th in pitching in the pack and 7th in fielding. So we're just looking overall just for a better season, which, as I said before, it's already seeming like it's a better season so far against their 2 games against LaRoche today. So I think that 7th is a good ranking for them, and I think they're looking to work their way up so far this season.
So we're talking about preseason polls, right? And we're going to switch to softball. And softball, first place. They're at the top for a reason. In my opinion, I think they're up there. Now, Mia, can you go in depth, or your opinion, I should say, on if you agree with that poll?
I think softball 100% deserves to be ranked first. I mean, they have 2 PAC championships in 2 years, which is crazy. Obviously, they're looking for their 3rd. They have great pitchers in Sydney Wilson and Autumn Stemple. Sydney Wilson was PAC Pitcher of the Week for 2 weeks in a row last season. So, I mean, she really leads the team, and I think they for sure deserve this #1 spot. Westminster, who they beat in the championship last year, is ranked 2 this year again, so that will be tough competition, but they handled them pretty well last year, so I think that they're looking for that 3rd PAC championship in a row, which will be big for them.
And the softball team, they won't play at any point before we go on spring break. Their next time out will be on that Florida trip, and during that trip, they will see Trine College, who they saw last year in the NCAA tournament. They're ranked #2 in the region. So what competition will that bring for softball? Do you think that takes them up a level with the teams they're playing, or do you think that's exactly where they belong?
I think it takes them up a level. I mean, when I looked at their schedule from last year, the softball team lost to Trine 7-0 in their national tournament. So, I mean, Trine is for sure an amazing team. While Waynesburg's a great team too, it is hard to compete well at that national level. So I think that the softball team maybe has a better chance this year of playing a little better against Trine, but like I said before, last year was tough for them in the national tournament. But I think that getting to see Trine again in Florida, it's a little bit of a different environment. It's not the national tournament. It's just a Florida tournament that they're going to over spring break. So, I mean, I think that the environment's a little different. I think that a lot of things will impact how this game goes, and it'll be a little better than it was the national tournament.
So we talked about how they have been elite for the last couple of years. And do you think that this team is still going to get even better than before the last couple of 2 years? Or do you think maybe they'll have just a slight decline?
I honestly think that there may be a little bit of a slight decline just because you're coming off 2 PAC championships. I mean, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. I personally would feel pretty good about my team if we had 2 PAC championships. So, I mean, I think they feel really good about getting that 3rd PAC championship, and I think maybe they might decline a little bit, but I think they'll still rise to the expectations that everybody has, and I think that they'll still make a run for the PAC championship this year, and I think they'll bring up their season even if there is a decline at some point.
So I'm going to ask you kind of a mixed question here with the baseball and softball team. Is there any players in particular on the baseball team and the softball team that you think should be ones to look out for, whether it be a returning player like you mentioned Sydney Wilson, Autumn Stemple, or on the baseball side, Todd Berner came back for another year for the baseball team. Who are some players to look out for on baseball side and the softball side?
I think that, obviously, like I said before, Sydney Wilson is a major component for the softball team, and she's a great pitcher. She's had many awards her last 3 years here, so I think that she's going to be great. And I think Autumn Stemple coming in as her backup pitcher is really important. She's a great pitcher as well. Pretty even with Sydney, I think. I think she'll step up a lot more this year. For the baseball team, like you said, their 5th year, I think that he'll do a lot. He did a lot last year too, so I feel like he'll step up again this year. Obviously, as a 5th year, I feel like we've seen it's a little harder to I don't know, stay in shape maybe with people that are a little younger. But I think that he will step up again this year, and he'll help out as much as he did last year, and maybe even bring this team a little higher in the rankings than they were last year, make playoffs, and maybe even make a run at the PAC tournament. So.
Well, thank you so much, Mia, for joining us on the desk today. When we come back, we're going to have Michael McKenzie to discuss the somber men's basketball team loss. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Jacket Sports Weekly. Today we're joined by Michael McKenzie to discuss the men's basketball unfortunate circumstance we all had to watch last Tuesday. Mike, just break it down for us.
Now, it wasn't Waynesburg's day.
It wasn't.
It wasn't Waynesburg's day. The smile on my face is because I'm happy to be back on the desk with you.
We're glad.
It's always a great time to be here on
And
JSW.
we appreciate that.
We're on the desk. We got the graphics up. We got the orange lights in the back. It's always a great time when we're up here. Now, unfortunately, the circumstances of us being up here and the discussion we're about to have is not one that we thought we were going to be having on this day. Last Tuesday, obviously, things did not go the way for Waynesburg, losing 65-58 to Grove City. And there's a number of things that happened in this game for Waynesburg that went wrong. First, I didn't feel like they got enough contributions from guys other than Baker, McLeod, and Davis. Obviously, that was your big three the majority of the season, especially at the tail end of the season, the home stretch. Those are the three guys that were mostly getting the job done. You needed contributions from guys other than those three, and they only got 11 points and 10 rebounds from all other players. 7 of those 11 points coming from Corey Mitchum. You needed to have contributions from other guys like Ryan Feldberg or Jake Scheit or Bryson Willard or Jansen Knotts, and those just unfortunately did not come for Waynesburg. And Grove City had a great second half adjustment. Anton Baker did a great job starting the game, owning the paint, dominating down low. Grove City was able to hit some threes. They went 6 of 13 from 3 in the first half. That got them their lead going into the locker room. But they knew they had to play better defense in the second half, and they did. The game plan was to really collapse their zone defense in on Anton Baker and Jalen Davis when they touched the basketball. Double teams, triple teams, and live with Baker or Davis having to make tough passes back out to the perimeter. And if it leads to a three-point shot for Waynesburg, hope it doesn't fall. And obviously it didn't fall. 4 of 24 three-point shooting on the day for Waynesburg. Just not what you needed on that day against Grove City. And we said it. It's tough to beat a team 3 times. And Waynesburg found that out firsthand on Tuesday.
So, Mike, obviously the team is going to be losing a few of its key components to what it's been the past 4 or 5 years in Ryan Feldberg's case, but losing Bryson Wilt, losing Jansen Knotts, Jake Scheit, Ryan Feldberg, what should Tim Fusina look to acquire in his recruitment class for next season? Obviously, Anton Baker, he's confirmed coming back for a 5th year. You'll have Jalen Davis and all the other transfers back, but what do you feel is that missing piece? What is the cause that Waynesburg lost to Grove City in this opening round?
I mean, you can take a deep dive into it, look at the numbers, look at everything that went wrong. But I think one thing in particular could completely turn this team around and would have turned this game around. It's a spot-up shooter that can space the floor. They didn't really have a consistent spot-up three-point shooter that can space the floor a lot, that can sit in the corner, draw the defense out, make the defense of the opposing team kind of keep honest on that and open things up for Baker and Davis and other guys in the post. if they can get that, not only does it really emphasize running that inside-out offense with the emphasis being on the paint and then Baker or Davis or somebody else in the paint kicking it out to an open shooter, it also spreads out the defense, spaces the floor, and it's going to allow Davis and Baker to get a lot more one-on-one opportunities in the post, chances to do what they do best, and that's go to work in the post, one-on-one down in the low block or from the high post, take one dribble, get to the hoop, whatever moves they want to do in the post. Having those one-on-one opportunities is going to be huge next year, but they're only going to come if they can get one or two spot-up three-point shooters that can shoot 40% from three, play solid defense on the other end, and keep defenses honest in all phases of the offensive game for Waynesburg.
Now, let's take a look at a positive here. I like to bring up the positives in the somber moods, even though whatever. But here we go.
There's always light and dark, and a little bit of darkness.
Yeah. Waynesburg was projected at the beginning of the season 9th overall in the PAC, and here they come finishing 4th, hosting a home playoff game. You know, I feel like, just what are your general thoughts on that in general? Just how they were projected so low and came out at a pretty higher point than what they were expected.
I mean, obviously they exceeded expectations. You said it. Picked 9th in the coaches' preseason poll from the PAC. They finished 14-12. They finished with a winning record in PAC play. Winning record overall. It's the first time they've had a winning record overall in 10 seasons since that 2014 to 2015 season, which I know you got a nugget on that, the whole 2014-15 season, connecting that to this year. I'll leave that to you, Logan, but first winning season overall in 10 years. Their best season record-wise under Tim Fusina. Obviously, Tim Fusina had that playoff win. The Waynesburg team had that playoff win a couple of years ago, so maybe overall you could argue that he had a better season a couple of years ago when they won that playoff game at Geneva, but regular season-wise, there's no argument. This is the best season they've had under Coach Fusina. Anton Baker really established himself as one of the key names in the PAC. Leading shot blocker in the conference, top 3 in points per game, player of the week on multiple occasions. He established himself as a name to watch heading into next season, and having him back for a 5th season is going to be huge for Waynesburg, especially after the 19-plus point per game season he had this year. And, you know, this is a program on the rise. They proved that this year. Again, you said it. I'm going to mention it again. Picked 9th in the preseason polls. You finished 4th. You got a good amount of your key contributors coming back, and it feels like you're only a couple of pieces away, like I just mentioned the last question that you asked me. You know, they're a couple of pieces away from being a team that can contend for a PAC championship.
So, Mike, we talked about, you know, what Tim Fusina could add to the team, but with what's already on the team, who do you think could see an increased role next season? Obviously, everybody knows Anton Baker, Jalen Davis, Jordan McLeod, Corey Mitchum, PJ Suggs. They're all coming back, but who could we expect maybe that didn't get a lot of playing time this season to see, you know, maybe a 6th, 7th man role for the Yellow Jackets?
I think that there's an obvious answer here. It's the freshman Mikey Smith. He was the one freshman that wasn't in the rotation consistently, but he got minutes here and there, made the most of them. I think he had 4 points against Geneva, hit a 3-pointer against Teal. He's got a good, solid offensive game. We'll have to see how the defense develops heading into next season, but heading into his sophomore year, Smith, athletic guy, brings a lot of offensive talent to the table, I think. He's definitely the guy to watch that's going to get an increased role. I think that he's the obvious answer as well, seeing that, you know, he was a guy, he played a handful of games, didn't play in all their games, but a handful of games here and there, showed his offensive prowess. I think that he can develop the defense over the offseason, at least that end of the floor, play himself over the summer and over the preseason into a big role. Maybe not a starting role, but a key contributor for this team in 2024 and 2025, their next season coming up.
Well, Michael McKenzie, it's been a pleasure breaking down this season with you.
You're going to hold on to that Grove City nugget?
You know, I'll let it go. I'll let it fly.
I can't let you hold on to that nugget. It was too good.
Seth, have you seen my Twitter post?
Which one?
All right, I'll just read it to you.
Which one?
So, Seth, if I had a nickel, okay?
Oh, I did see
For
this.
every time Waynesburg swept Grove City in the regular season, but then lost in the quarterfinals on February 20th, I would have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's weird that I have 2.
Happened twice.
Yeah,
I always love a good Phineas and Ferb reference.
Everybody did.
Everybody
Tyler
loves
Aaron, our camera operator, he pointed out, he said, love the Dr. Doofenshmirtz reference. So, yeah, but end that on a happy note for what was a very sad ending to the season. But again, thank you very much for joining us.
Mike.
It's always been a pleasure.
We'll see you for the spring seasons. You know, track and field's coming up, lacrosse, we've got softball, we've got baseball. We've got a lot coming here on Jacket Sports Weekly. So thank you all for tuning in this week. And don't go anywhere because we'll be back in 2 weeks. We've got spring break off. But But we'll be back with more Jackets content.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.